From the jaws of the largest shark ever to swim the oceans, this week we're delving deep into the Earth's natural assets, looking at what's at stake and what can be gained from the planet's biodiversity. Studies show that 60% of us have either never heard the word biodiversity or understand what it means. Well, the next 10 minutes will tell all. Hello and welcome to Environment. A fifth of all coral reefs are under imminent risk of collapse, a loss to our visual surroundings, but it's also money that's slipping into the ocean. On the Île Maurice, a diver's paradise, artificial reefs are now being set up in an attempt to save the species and the tourists they attract. And while some of the animals and plants we know are fading fast, an unprecedented programme of naturalist expeditions has begun, with scientists planning to spend the next 10 years searching for previously unlisted species. We'll be meeting Olivier Pascal on his travels to Mozambique. And finally, felling the forest in order to protect the environment. In South Africa, war has been declared against invasive alien species, which are causing billions of rands in damage every year. I'm standing in the grips of a megalodon, a species of shark whose jaws spanned 2 meters wide and which is now extinct. His skeleton proving a popular attraction here, though while he lived, he undoubtedly sent people flying in fear. Unlike the species in our first report, which is the coral reefs of Mauritius. In terms of tourism, a hectare of intact coral reef is said to bring in an annual income of $1 million. For the economy then, if for nothing else, they deserve to be protected. But with 50% of the island's resources already destroyed, artificial reefs are now being built.
Known for centuries as an area of outstanding natural beauty, Mauritius has suffered greatly at the hands of global warming and destructive seasonal cyclones.
We put data sensors 7 feet under the water. Then we go and retrieve them and download the data. That includes a record of the temperatures and the amount of light.
These biologists are part of an expedition to save the coral surrounding the islands, which are of great ecological and economic importance. Each hectare of reef is the equivalent of $1 million, and these underwater pictures highlight the destruction that has occurred. Half of the reef has already disappeared. The researchers have launched a new initiative, a coral nursery located away from the destructive elements.
At first it was just a prototype, but now we can recreate the habitat which has been destroyed.
The corals are home to hundreds of species of fish, algae and microorganisms in an interdependent ecosystem. But researchers are trying to lend a helping hand by artificially cultivating the most resistant strain of coral.
We have to use the most resistant species to make the most of the money we have. We were given permission to start cultivating 2 years ago, and the Pavona decussata is a species that has coped the best. We hope it can help us restore the sea with our artificial reefs.
But there are worries that the species will not fit in with the local ecosystem. The coral is being embedded in large quantities with no long-term guarantees.
If the sea temperature continues to rise, then maybe even our artificial reefs and resistant corals will disappear.
These artificial reefs certainly look the part, but the programme seems to be a means, rather than an ends, to a systematic problem.
Well, apart from the tourism that biodiversity can attract, the main problem, analysts say, is putting a price on nature, as ecosystem services such as the air we breathe aren't traded on any market. However, it's not all doom and gloom. Some initiatives are taken to understand our planet better. Olivier Pascal is part of a group of scientists who hope to do just that. They've taken off on a 10-year adventure during which they hope to discover millions of new plants and animals. He tells us now about his recent travels to Mozambique.
We were gone for 6 weeks. Several teams of scientists. A bit of a travelling circus of scientists, if you like. Camping as we went. Trying to find the last patches of dry forest in this corner of northern Mozambique.
No, it's not this one.
It's not, huh? You know the eye.
Yes, I know it perfectly.
Has this area been explored scientifically before?
I don't think so, no. I think this is the first time a team of botanists has ever come here.
C'est très très plat. Et quand vous êtes
It's very flat, this area, and when you're on the ground, it's hard to know which direction to head in. And so, our small hot air balloons allowed us to get some height and some perspective, and to get a fairly good idea of where we needed to go. We work using the same methods that have been used for decades. We go out and we collect a large stack of samples. We take them back to the lab, unwrap them and try and put a name to each one. Biodiversity is the basis on which we all live. But very little money is given to researching this. Across the globe, I think about $3 or $4 billion is allocated each year for everyone and everything. We're very seriously behind on the inventory of species that are living on this planet. We know roughly 2 million of the species out there, but there are maybe 10, 15, 20, 30, no one even knows how many more millions still to be discovered.
Olivier Pascal there, part of a group of scientists who are travelling far and wide in the bid to discover new species. While the average citizen may not have to go quite so far, we're now in Paris's Botanical Garden, which offers up a wealth of the world's natural riches, many of which are new to me for one. But the bid here is also to protect certain plants and animals which currently risk extinction. Species from all over the world then being welcomed here in Paris. Not quite the same story across in South Africa, where alien varieties are being exterminated. Deforestation is helping the environment there and thus the economy.
This is their battleground, in the mountains of South Africa. Here, these men and women are called the death squads. Poisoning, decapitation, environmental warfare on all alien plants.
As you can see, it's the depth of winter and the rivers are really low. And that's because the Australian species of tree soak up a lot more water than their South African counterparts. So we need to get rid of them. We need to clean the region.
These troops take no prisoners. Anything originating in Europe, America or Australia is destroyed. Local ecologists insist that without this work, South Africa would start to run dry, as non-native species drink more water than the indigenous vegetation. Some 800,000 hectares of this mountainous landscape have already been cleansed. With laws being passed to maintain the healthier results, certain species of conifers or acacias are no longer allowed. The goal is to make sure that the fynbos, the major vegetation type of this small botanical region known as the Cape Floral Kingdom, is maintained, and that the 161 plants currently considered a threat are restricted. Destroying the forest to protect the environment does sound strange, but the job also offers raw materials to local carpenters, like this former member of the Death Squad, who is finding it easier to make a living because of it.
Well, it's in this tropical Parisian setting that we bring our tour of the biodiversity around the world to a close. That's it for this edition. See you next time.